In episode 8, Daniel is in the doghouse and he's forced to sleep on the couch. A secret that he's trying to keep from his mom, who has shown up to help out around the house, but it's hard to lie to your mom. She knows something's up. And the arrival of Daniel's mom has really put a wrench into the makeout sessions of Robbie and Sam, who are forced to make out when real training people. They do, however, have to go outside when they hear a commotion, and it's because Dimitri has, quote-unquote, found the Medal of Honor. And Robbie just plays it off like, yeah, it must have just been around a bunch of rocks. And Daniel was unaware of all of this because that day he headed into the dealership to try to make good with Amanda buying her a bunch of sushi. But Amanda sees right through it and tells him to give the sushi to her customers. And since that peace offering fell flat on its face, he decides to bring the kids to the dealership and having the lesson there by getting all of Miyagi-Do to wax on and wax off the cars. And when Amanda sees this, she says, okay, that's cute, but 10 more minutes of this free labor. But Daniel cuts her off saying, no, this isn't a training session. This is me trying to help. This is me trying to say I'm sorry. But Amanda explains to Daniel that she knows that none of this is permanent. You can't put a Band-Aid on an open head wound. And Daniel can't believe that she's actually comparing their marriage to an open head wound. And that's when Daniel really realizes that he has his work cut out for him. That night, Daniel just wants to remember the good times, so he starts flipping through a scrapbook and his mom shows up. And they have a conversation about relationships and Daniel's father a little bit. But in that scrapbook, there's one photo that really sticks out to Daniel, and it's the opening of LaRusso Auto Group. And in that photo, Amanda is very pregnant. But that night, they snuck away to sit in a car and have some sparkling cider and just talk about the future, map everything out. So with that photo, Daniel now has a plan to get his wife back. He heads to the dealership dressed just like he did that night, but instead of sparkling cider, he's got actual champagne. And he brings Amanda into one of their cars, and she has to give it to him, telling him that it's a pretty good plan doing this whole trip down memory lane. But Daniel says, nah, screw the dealership. What I remember the most about that night was planning out our future together. He then goes on to apologize, but admits that opening up the dojo made him realize how much he missed Mr. Miyagi, but also missed karate. The two do end up kissing in the backseat. Super adorable stuff. Now, over with Cobra Kai, Johnny has realized that he sort of has a crush on Carmen. But when he goes over to their apartment to ask her out, she's not there. She's actually arriving in the apartment with her boyfriend. And it makes for a super awkward interaction with Johnny. He then needs to regroup because he's got a class that day, and he heads there and tells the kids that Kreese is out. And the words on the wall, strike first, strike fast, no mercy, they just make you out to be an asshole. Because in life, there's a lot of gray area. And in those gray areas, that's where Johnny Lawrence's Cobra Kai is going to show mercy. He then has the group square up and practice their headbutts, but Miguel goes to check on him, knowing that Johnny and Kreese were pretty close. But Johnny tells him, don't worry about me, worry about little girlfriend out there. And this is the first indication that Johnny's known about Miguel and Tori the entire time. Miguel then tries to turn the attention to Johnny's love life, but Johnny turns the attention to Miguel's mom's love life. And Miguel explains that he likes this new guy, and she's had really bad luck with guys in the past. She met this guy on a dating app and tells Johnny that one of those could work for him too. And Miguel offers to set it all up. And Miguel does that, but none of these dates are going well. And while sitting at the bar, he ends up messaging Allie via Facebook, but before he hits send, and it doesn't even look like he's going to, a woman bumps into him. And when that happens, his thumb accidentally hits send, the message goes out, but this woman was practicing a tactic that Johnny had talked about earlier. The old, you bump into someone at a bar and then apologize by offering to buy him a drink. And she does that, and the two hit it off. They're having a nice night. But then Johnny overhears somebody to the side and realizes that it's Carmen's boyfriend. And he's telling his buddy how Carmen, she's kind of pathetic because she lives in an apartment with her mom. And Johnny's trying to ignore it, but the more the night goes on, the more he can't ignore this guy. Because at this point, he's making out with some random girl. So when the guy goes to go to the bathroom, he's forced to go in the alley because the bathroom at the bar is broken. And Johnny follows him out there, leaving the girl at the bar, and telling this guy in the alley, you're going to leave Carmen alone. And the guy tries to act tough with Johnny, but ends up getting his ass kicked, although Johnny does show mercy. And the guy does end up leaving Carmen alone. A couple days later, Johnny sees Carmen all dolled up and asks how she's doing, and she says, I guess I got stood up on my date. And Johnny feels like this is a good opportunity, slides in and says, you should never be ghosted. No one should ignore you. And he asks Carmen out on a date, and she accepts. Now, that's not the only date, because Miguel has been looking for an opportunity to go out with Tori for a while. But the best they can come up with is going to Tori's work, where she works at a roller rink, and they're having 80s night. So Miguel's going to head there, borrowing Johnny's jacket that makes him look like Michael Jackson, and he just plans to wait for Tori to get off. But unbeknownst to them, Robbie and Sam are headed to the exact same place, needing to get away from Sam's house because her grandmother is there and they just can't get any privacy. And they both are dressed in like a Pretty in Pink setup, although Robbie really looks like Don Johnson. But as soon as they get in there, she flags down one of the waitresses to get a menu, and when the girl turns around, she realizes, crap, it's Tori. And Tori is extremely rude to her. The awkwardness and insults are broken up when Miguel shows up and sees that Tori is talking to Sam and tries to introduce them, only to realize that they already know each other and they have quite a history. But right before Tori skates off to go back to work, she makes out with Miguel right in front of Sam. Now, Sam is trying not to let this ruin her night, but Sam's skate breaks, and she goes to get it fixed, where she once again runs into Miguel. And this isn't an accidental bump-in. Miguel showed up to apologize to her, but the conversation ends up turning into, I can't believe you're going out with her, well, you showed up with him. And from afar, Tori is watching all of this go down, and jealousy is getting to her. So when Tori sees Robbie and Sam skating by with drinks, she ends up bumping into Sam really hard, where Sam ends up spilling her drink and falling all over the ground. And she doesn't exactly apologize, saying, sorry, princess. And Sam's had enough. She goes after her, tripping her. The problem is everybody saw what Sam did and no one saw what Tori did, and Robbie and Sam are kicked out of the roller rink, with Miguel in complete shock that Sam just did that, even though Tori started it all. Thank you so much for watching this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Like the video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you thought it sucked. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen, don't worry, it'll be up soon. And please be nice in the comments section. Nobody likes being told they suck, even if it's true. Oh, and sharing's caring.